In early February 2023, U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida, introduced a resolution calling for the halt of all U.S. financial and military aid to Ukraine. Later that month, Republicans on the House Oversight Committee decided to mark the first anniversary of the war by opening an investigation into Washington aid to Kiev, arguing that it's time for the White House to turn over spending receipts to ensure that American taxpayer dollars are not wasted, treated, or taken advantage of. Congressman Gaetz called his resolution reflecting the people's fatigue with the war. Many Republicans on the House Oversight Committee agree that the American people do not want to continue this aid program. When there are signs that the tax dollars are not being used properly while inflation is consistently high. Since the beginning of the Ukraine invasion, many people in Russia believe that the West would not be able to support as ally for long. Not long after sending troops into Ukraine, several officials close to President Vladimir Putin admitted to the Washington Post that they are waiting for the right moment to wage a long war attrition against Ukraine. The time will come when the West reduces aid. On the other hand, Russia also said economic sanctions imposed by the West on Moscow are causing global food and energy crisis. Many countries will support peaceful measures. Up to now, thanks to Ukraine's effective communication strategy, as well as the natural relationship between Ukraine and the West in general, the Russian plan has not been as successful as they want. Weapons are still pouring into Ukraine. The anti-war protesters have almost disappeared. However, some comments are still concerned that it will not last forever. Some countries have begun to waver. Currently, the governments of major countries in the West, such as the US, Germany, or the UK, are still steadfastly supporting Ukraine, while at the same time convincing the people why it's necessary to do it. For example, to protect democracy, protect people's lives, and protect infrastructure, these efforts make it easier for people to empathize and not to be pitiful when the tax money is used outside the countries. These major powers account for the most of the humanitarian, financial, and weapons aid to Ukraine. It's the natural of most people to maintain compassion when they see difficult circumstances of others. Ukraine's media strategy has been somewhat successful, exposing the war to the dire spectacle of war. Besides that, winning the heart of the war public through strategy, such as the uniform of President Zelensky, all the way welcoming leaders outdoors on the street of Kiev, also works. This makes a great impression not only on visitors, but also on television viewers. Crossing the street in the middle of the war, it seems to show courage and resilience that never gives up or surrenders. The image of the leader also symbolizes the whole nation. In a country where everyone is united, there is a high probability of winning. Therefore, many opinions say that, as for a country like that is a very good value of money, efforts should be continued. Some comments from Russia said that the image of the war was grim, causing sympathy, but over time it would make others tired. People would wonder, is it necessary to pump weapons in to continue causing such pain? Although support for Ukraine is still very strong in Europe and North America now, many people are gradually feeling wavering. According to polls in early 2023, the British population, the country that supports Ukraine most strongly, number of people who want to continue the aid has decreased, although not much. In Central and Eastern Europe, the situation is more serious. In Bulgaria, 43% of respondents believe the government is doing too much for Ukraine. In Slovakia, it is 39%. According to experts, there are many reasons for this change. For example, through Russian messages on the internet, worries about fascism spreading in Ukraine, tough statements and over-calculated disclosures by the Ukrainian leadership, or NATO's responsibility for the conflict. In addition, it's impossible not to mention countries in Central and Eastern Europe have been experiencing economic difficulties since the war broke out. A similar trend appears in the United States, according to a Pew Research Center poll published in February 2023. A quarter of Americans believe that the United States is giving too much to Ukraine. The consequence of these statements is the accusation that the U.S. government is inciting war to justify the unusual generosity that has given to Ukraine in order to gain benefits from arms trade or other intangible benefits. Russia has expected divisions in Western opinion to be stronger. The stories Russian media public sometimes make the audience consider, although no one is sure that it's true or not. After the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in August 2021, Russian media began to attack. In a later deleted tweet, RT shared a photo of an Afghan family with weapons in their backpacks. They provided a note, as some extremists being helped out of Afghanistan, up to 100 displaced Afghans are on the intelligence agency's watch list. Other RT tweets also describe stories highlighting U.S. mismanagement of the hasty withdrawal that's made many soldiers dead. Since the outbreak of the conflict, Russian media have tried to repeat the same tactic when it knows about Ukraine. The stories that Moscow and its proxies share is that this war was started by NATO and Ukraine. The pro-Western government in Kiev want to eliminate Russian culture and suppress Russian speakers. Russian media also targeted the American people, highlighting the news about U.S. aid being smuggled on the black market. Even more weapons fall into hands of extremist groups, which can be used to strike back America in the future. Thus, American tax dollar not only wasted but also harmful to the United States. It's not clear how accurate this information is, but it also makes some people feel insecure. In Africa and the Southern Hemisphere, many countries do not have reporters working in Ukraine, so they often broadcast Russian TV stations. Therefore, they still believe that Russia represents justice and the Russian military is dominant now. Even in the United States, Fox News host Tucker Carlson has repeatedly amplified the content of Russian news. For example, the Ukrainian government takes advantage of U.S. aid. The U.S. has a biological laboratory in Ukraine. The ingratitude of the Ukrainian government when receiving aid from some European countries, or the illegal actions from refugees in Western society. According to some experts, stories in Russian media, although not attracting too many Western readers, always have a stable audience, especially conservatives. Fortunately, this group of people is very small compared with the total population. The difficulty of Russian media when it wants to penetrate more into Western society may be because it cannot compete with the giant corporations of America and Europe. Every day, the Western media talks about Ukraine's fight for freedom. Ukraine is fighting for its own freedom and freedom of Europe, or Ukraine is on the front line defending the world's freedom and democracy. The second reason why Russian media is not as successful as they expect, because the advertising strategy in front of the crowd is very effective by President Zelensky. He frequently reminds the West of horrifying image inflicted by the Russian military. The way he appeared on Twitter and Facebook made viewers notice. Social media is the best tool for people all over the world to hear what he shares directly, not through a 3D media channel. Scholar Susan Muller wrote in a book published in 1999 that, on the media front, sometimes a picture has a wide spread, even touching the hearts of billions of people. For example, images of Somali starving or Bosnian being imprisoned. Another example is a 1992 photo by BBC journalist Matthew Price of a Muslim man named Fikrat Alex, emaciated behind a barbed wire fence in Serbia. Another heart-touching picture taken in 2015 by Turkish photographer Nilüfer Deme captures a Syrian child who died on the beach when the family tried to cross the Mediterranean to reach Greece. Until now, regarding the war in Ukraine, there have been no pictures that have touched the viewers like that, but lower level and continuity, creating a strong supportive and sympathetic mentality to Ukraine. That is what Russian media has not been able to do in order to seek more support from international viewers. Too much news about the war would make the audience feel tired. This is likely to happen if the war is long. It also impacts ad programs to Ukraine. Congressman Gaetz and a number of other Republicans' allies have highlighted the concerns of the American people in the way that Russia expected. Russian media immediately relayed information about Congressman Gaetz's bill, both domestically and globally. The RT News article also immediately became an important tool of influence. Some U.S. experts said that, although the current anti-Ukrainian public opinion is not high, the number of MPs who are not friendly with Ukrainian is also low in the parliament. However, it should not be underestimated. Government representatives need to provide more transparent information to the public, especially the ad program, then report it clearly to Parliament. Most importantly, it must be explained over and over again that supporting Ukraine is supporting the United States. Protecting the sovereign nation means protecting international law and UN Charter. For conservatives and far-side politicians, it's necessary to convince them that helping Ukraine is helping America itself. America's most dangerous rival is China. Helping Ukraine will make Russia weaker, so the U.S. won't be free to deal with China in Asia. However, some other opinions say that, catch up in the conflict, the U.S. will reduce resources to confront China in Asia. In addition, arms aid to Ukraine and sanctions against Russia only puts mascara into China's influence, making China stronger. Some Democratic politicians suggested that the strategy should continue to arouse compassion and sympathy for the Ukrainian from the American people. The U.S. government should make efforts to tackle inflation, emphasizing that this is a problem not only caused by the war, but also by COVID-19 or the disruption of the global supply chain. The cost of higher gas prices is also necessary to maintain a rule-based world order. Some other opinions objected, saying that the ideology of press freedom and freedom of thought, even the U.S. government does everything. The pro-Russian news still somehow crept in society. Many Americans still sympathize with leftist ideas, such as supporting Russia, Cuba, or Venezuela. Therefore, a complete limit on information is also impossible in the current situation. Although it's too early, according to some experts, if the United States does not coordinate to repel Russian influence campaigns, the Kremlin will increasingly gain a better position, attracting more supporters. Information is an extremely important front, no different from a real battle. Although Ukraine and the West dominate now, Russia is inferior, but in the future, no one knows exactly for sure. Our program has come to an end now. Thank you for your watching and see you next time.